Hello, everyone. It's Matt, Connor, and James, ESC United, your favorite Eurovision channel. I hope, and if not, then we'll keep working on that. And we are here today again live. This is day 2 of the ESC United jury. We do that every year where we talk about all of the songs in the running, provide our score, and then we'll have a team score as well. And yeah, we're going to do that again today for 9 more songs. If you didn't follow us yesterday, that is okay. We have the full live stream here on demand, and also, I cut them into sections as well if you just want to watch the country that you care about the most. And again, we'll do that again with 9 of them. And Connor, James, are you ready for this?
As ready as I'll ever be.
That's good. I know some folks are actually in London right now for the London Eurovision party, and now people keep asking they don't have a live stream, unlike what they've done in Madrid and Barcelona. But so we have all the time in the world to talk about this and have fun. I'm sure they will put snippets on social media as well. I hope everyone in the chat is doing all right. And keep in mind, even though we are going to talk about our scores, your score is also very important. So throughout this show, go into the description of this video. I put 9 links, excuse me, in there for all the countries we're going to discuss today, and you can give your score as always. 10 means amazing, and 1 means the opposite, basically, and then everything in between where you think the song would fall. I keep posting those links on social media as well, on Twitter and here as well on YouTube. So make sure to follow us everywhere. And we are excited. And thank you so much, Frode and Nygaard, for supporting us here, saying Eurovision is almost here. And yes, that is exactly what it is. I know, Connor, you are going to be in Liverpool for 10 days, 12 days. How long?
An indefinite amount of time. I don't know.
Yes.
I'll land on May 3rd, and I leave on the morning of the 14th, however many days that is.
Okay. And James, I know you're going to be here in the United States. What are your plans for all of that? You have your party ready? How are you going to do all of this?
Yeah, just the usual. Have a bunch of people over, get irredeemably blitzed, and hopefully stay awake until the final announcement.
Yes, that's basically what any proper fan should do. So, but as said, we got a few songs to discuss today. It's only the 3 of us because, as said, some of the folks are busy with parties. So, I guess we just got to do it on our own. So, with no further delay, actually, somebody's asking before we get started, Jokasi, can you say whether you'll be doing live streams from the rehearsals and stuff? Sorry if you already talked about it. We have not talked about it today, but anyone who knows about the changes, the rules this year are very, very different. In a nutshell, live streaming from the press center is virtually impossible. They put a lot of rules on it, that there is no sound whatsoever allowed, accidentally, on purpose, whatever. So live streaming from the press center is no longer a thing. We'll still do daily live streams though, just not from the press center. We'll do it on site or remotely from home. And because we still have access to the dress rehearsal and that stuff, we just cannot share any sound. It's going to be just very descriptive, for the lack of a better word. So that's basically how it's going to pan out. So let's jump right into it. And I think we're going in order here that I posted the links. So if I am not mistaken, the first country on the list for today is Germany. So a last place in 22, a second to last in 21, a second to last in 2019. Not the greatest run for Germany at the contest, but here comes Lord of the Lost, hoping to change that. The band was selected by the public via the national final as they really like Blood and Glitter, the name of the song. Its industrial metal image may not be the safest choice, but a choice that may pay off, maybe not. We don't know. The band has been together since 2006. 7. And experience is not going to be a hurdle, at least with them. And the lead singer, Chris Harms, he revealed that the band actually applied to represent Germany for many years. So persistency paid off. Question is, was it worth the wait? Well, here to talk this through, I'll start with you on James. I would love to hear your thoughts on the German song. And then, by the way, at the end, everyone, that's when we give our scores and then the overall score. But James, why don't you go ahead?
Lots of people ask me, why do I, a metalhead, listen to music, listen to Eurovision? How can it be that somebody who listens to death metal and cryptopsy, suddenly switch gears and sing Euphoria? Well, this song is the answer. Blood and glitter. You can segment your likes. There's duality within each of us. The blood, the Russian Thundersturm und Drang. You like my German there?
No.
Metal. And then also the glitter of pop. So, your metalheads, you like your riffs, you like your fast blast beats, and with your pop, you like your vocal hooks and your grooves. So, blood and glitter is a great anthem for people who are metalheads who like pop, who like Eurovision as well. As a gothic industrial number, I find it is a compelling entry. I've been a fan of this genre since the days of Depeche Mode, Sister of Mercy, then through the 90s with like Rammstein and My Dying Bride and Covenant and so on. And I find this one a particularly decent entry. Nothing but positives from me. The first time in more than a decade that I put Germany in my top 10.
I know Germany has missed the mark when it comes to James' taste for quite some time. To be fair, a lot of people's taste based on the most recent results. Connor, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I am of a similar taste as James. I am not as experienced of a metalhead as James, but I have been recently converted to the genre. And, I think for me, first of all, I would say that it's exciting that I am excited about a German entry. Because I feel like I've been very lukewarm about a German entry, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. And like I said yesterday with Malik's song, you take it out of Eurovision, I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. You put it in Eurovision, I'm like, ooh, I forgot that was there. We cannot forget that this is here. This is going to be impressionable. This is going to leave a statement. This is going to light the arena on fire if they do it well. And I just love that they are so in on this whole thing. They have been wanting to do this for a while. They had been very immersed in the process. And I expect a lot from them when it comes to staging because of what they gave us at Unserlied. I mean, it can only go up from there. Whereas in recent years, we've kind of been like, what is it gonna do? ? So I have a lot of really good hopes. I'm really excited, and it's also somewhere in the left-hand scoreboard for me. I won't reveal where.
Okay, that is great. By the way, can you double check your microphone, Connor? It was better when we before went live. It's like a clicking sound, and it's a little far away.
Oh, yes, I can.
Just double check that. But anyways, let me just explain, since as a German-born American, I have been extra critical. I guess I had the right and harsh when Germany very frequently decided to send like turds disguised as radio-friendly songs. Let's put it that way. But here, credit where credit is due. This is amazing. Lord of the Lost may not be everyone's cup of tea. I get that. It's polarizing, but I'm on the side of love. I absolutely love it. It has a bit of to me, it's not the same genre per se, but it has vibes of Lordy flashbacks. This hard rock, hallelujah, blood and glitter. So I cannot do it. I'm not I don't have the voice. But it's also, as they call it, industrial metal, has a little bit more of a broader appeal than people realize sometimes, especially when it's a pretty catchy melody. It's not just, noisy. It has actually melodically a lot to offer. We talked about it yesterday with James, I think, that certain genres like this one they're always known for the most amazing lyrics. So Yeah, so the song does not thrive off of amazing lyrical content here, but it's the vibe and the energy that where it really makes up for it. And it's going to be visually a feast of all. I think we all know that. To me, I'll agree with what James said. It's definitely Germany's best entry since Lena, hands down. Again, the bar is pretty low. Now, don't get no shade towards Michael Schulte. I love that song. It was a pretty ballad, moved me, but this is just my kind of music. So Deutschland, vielen Dank für die Musik. Vielen Dank, wie lieb von dir. Germans my age understand that it's the Tom and Jerry theme song. So in Germany. So just in case you're wondering, but I love this song. So I'm very, very, very happy that Germany sent something, and it may or may not pay off. But did it pay off with us? So far, the comments were pretty good. Is our score going to reflect that? First, the three of us will give our scores, and then we'll look at the team score. James, what did you give it?
Well, I was gonna sing the theme tune for Maya the Bee, another classic German cartoon from.
You
the 70s.
know that one? No,
Oh, yeah. That was big in South Africa.
Okay, I'm done.
I'm just here. Keep going.
Maya. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry. You got me on a trip here. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, my score for this one, 9.
9. How fun? Yeah. Okay. So what you got, Connor?
Yeah, so for me, and hopefully my microphone has been fixed. I guess it's
Yes,
switched
it's much
over
better
to-
now.
Perfect. Switched over to my headphones. But for Germany here again, like I said, I'm excited about an entry. I don't think that it's my favorite medal entry of this season because we've already kind of covered which one that would be from yesterday. But it is a solid 8 for me. And again, that's pretty good for me in Germany. I mean, I've given Germany pretty high marks, but when we get to Eurovision, it crumbles. I think that this is an 8. A well-deserved 8. No one will make fun of me for this 8, and it will stay an 8 or go up as we get there.
Hey,
I remember
good,
sisters. Right? I remember that tragedy that I gave like an 8 or 9 to. So
you did?
Sorry, y'all. I did.
Oh dear, somebody had to, I guess. So 9 indeed from me as well, and I feel like I didn't want to give it more because it comes across as biased. I don't know. But no, I think 9 is a fair score here. To me, it's my personal favorite in terms of the harder sounds. You know, I know some people refer to Australia, but this Germany works better for me. The point is, I love it. I love it. I love it. And everyone in the chat, let me know what your thoughts are. I'm going to bring them up in just a moment. But before we do that, let's take a look at the team score overall. Let's bring up this, by the way, before I forget. This was yesterday's score. I forgot to bring that up first. Albania's highlighted on because it was the last one we reviewed. So it doesn't mean I'm highlighting it right now. I just didn't want to create a new graphic. I was too lazy. So that's what we had. So where does Germany fall? Here we go. It takes Albania 7th place with a total of 7.17. And as you can see, that's a lower score from what Connor gave it, an 8. So the rest of the team brought down Germany a little bit. Connor, is that a surprise to you? Or you can see that this is not everyone's cup of tea?
Well, I think that we have not only a Germany stand on here, but also, again, 2 metalheads. So we were naturally going to put it higher. And I think that there's a little bit of worry that people are going to have of like, oh my gosh, that's really low. But I think that this song is not going to resonate with the entire public. So they are probably pulling it down just a little bit. But what's important is I think Germany in the past has been like, for some people, a 1 to 4 average.
Yes.
So if we are in the 9 to 8s, and that means that other people are probably in the 5 to 6s to give it a 7.17. That's still pretty good across the board because that means that people are talking about it and have feelings about it. And that's important for Germany because people haven't had that in the last 3 to 4 years.
Yes, you raised a very good point. I thought also it was too low for my liking. It deserved better. But it is true. Your point is, and I said the same thing yesterday, you'd rather be polarizing. Germany votes, the televote is not going to consist of an average. It's going to consist, like, people either vote for it or they won't. So people who hate the song or just don't get it, they cannot vote against it. This is not Big Brother. This is, you vote for your favorites or you don't. And this one will have a lot of support. And I saw plenty of clips yesterday from the Dutch party. Germany was going big in the audience. There is this element that this song is just also a great, great live feel. People go nuts over it, and I think it's going to come across. So I am not too worried about this score. I don't think 7.17 is low. Someone's saying, but maybe quality this year is high. How do you guys feel, James, in terms of the overall quality? You think that may have a reason for it? Because some people were saying it's not a good year, but it seems like two camps. One camp says it's a good year because of the diversity and the less predictable music, for the lack of a better word, while the more mainstream folks feel like there's not enough for them out there. Where do you fall, James?
Personally, I think it is a good year. Yes, I do agree the quality is there. However, I think my highs are higher this year than last year. My lows are lower than last year. So it feels like a bit of a spread. And because we've had like this entry, for instance, is really great. And then there's a bunch of others I have in a similar score range as well. And then, this entry's neighbor to the east. Oh my God, it's been a while since I've heard one that bad at this contest. So I think maybe that colors some people's perceptions in that the lows seem lower to some people, because I've had some people have agreed with me at least on that part.
Yeah. And keep in mind, these are just our scores right now. This is Team United giving score, and we have a separate that is coming from you, the viewer. So I have the link for Germany and all the other ones as well. We're going to discuss in the description box. Vote. What score do you want to give it? It will be added, and then we'll have an overall score, and that will be presented at the very, very end of all of this. So Germany, as Connor correctly pointed out, is certainly an improvement, even though some may think it's a little lower than what it should have been. I think they are, at least according to this score, on the right path. Is the next country on the right path? We'll find out. And the next one we have on our list is number 2. I think you're taking over the role of Arnaud today, Connor.
I'm trying.
I know I need that. And that is Serbia. And this country won the contest, the first participation, at least as a standalone country, back in 2007 with Molitva. And overall, Serbia has a pretty good track record at the contest, though it started to get a bit quiet around the mid-10s to the early 20s. But that changed last year after a smashing top 5 outcome. Now the country is taking another attempt at the former glory, this time with Luke Black, who won the national final with Samo Mi Se Spava. I always trip over that. And what they call it, Luke's unique brand of indie technopop has won him the title of Serbian pop alchemist, according to Eurovision.tv, in the eyes of his domestic media. So he wrote this song, by the way, back in April 2020, then filed it in his desk for a few years, and then looked like pulling it out was the right choice. Serbia was drawn into the first semi, and Luke will perform in the third slot there. I think we lost Connor here for a moment. Yeah, I'm sure I know he froze, so I'm sure he'll be back in a moment. So why don't we get started talking first? James, what are your thoughts?
All right. So for this one, we see the game element. What game do you think our friend Lucas most likes? I'm thinking from his vibe, he is a Castlevania Symphony of the Night fan. He probably likes his retro games, like he likes his retro music, like with The Cure and some of the 80s synth pop influencing his music. So if he was a video game, Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the PlayStation 1, if anyone remembers that one. Now, as for the song itself, there's a lot of elements I like. I actually really like that. I really do like the main synth piano line, and then when they convert it into the synth line, I think that's a very, very powerful. And then I do like the bass line. But then in the beginning, they start with this like almost Dracula rising up, and then he goes, "Oh, hello!" It sort of takes me right out of the song. So personally for me, I think his vocal style is just a touch incongruent with the rest of the song. So again, just elements I love, but just a couple of things that take me out of it, like i.e. that hello, and then
Hello.
yeah, and then also I don't feel the song really goes anywhere. It's more of a vibe piece than that's something that builds towards an explosive end, even with that forced game over lumped in at the end.
Okay, yeah. So I totally get where you're coming from. For me, for some reason, the hello part is kind of coolly like whoa moment that takes you out. So I kind of like it, but I can totally see where this actually throws you off more than anything. So it really comes again how people perceive it. To me, this is another great entry. Constructor was great last year, by the way. This is a song though that I would actually listen to in the studio version as well. While Constructor was more of a live experience to me. As said, gamer here, and I got actually a little bit like in the Castlevania. It certainly makes perfect sense. I got a little bit of Final Fantasy vibes even on that one, a certain genre. But I hear what you're saying. I can get enough of this one. It's a mood to me. It really just enjoys the journey throughout the song. It is true. It is not the kind of song that has like a structure in terms of like build to the end. It just kind of ends at that point. But it is a daring choice to me. And Serbia, it's in a tough semi, first of all. But regardless of the outcome, my Serbian friends, thank you. I thank you for sending this one. It just, it's so awesome. Maybe in some parts of the song that could have done a little bit more with actual vocals. This is the only downgrade I could give it. It wasn't necessary, but I think would have added just a little bit of a layer to make the song even more intricate, I think. But I cannot wait for the Liverpool staging. I know it'll change a lot as well because I know they're going to make changes. But yeah, Serbia, probably to me in my top 3 best entries that Serbia has sent so far, maybe top 5. I haven't done a proper ranking yet. The point is, I really am addicted to it. I am. And I know it's, again, a polarizing choice, but polarizing isn't always bad. Connor, welcome back. What are your thoughts on Serbia?
My internet said you may not talk about Serbia and quit.
I know, right?
So for me, I caught the tailwind of comments about the hello. My friend group and I have a really big ongoing joke of the hello moment from Miss Doubtfire. Hello! And every time I hear that, this is just where my brain goes to. So I'm just waiting for that meme or someone perhaps wants to make that meme. Please do. I would really love it. But for me in Serbia, I think that this entry is just not for me. And that's perfectly okay. There are always going to be entries that I'm not 100% jazzed about. But there are pieces of the song that I do like. I do like that really cool, I guess, video game inspired melodic line in the chorus, the da 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 da. I really like that, and I think that it sounds really, really cool. I like the game over bit. I like how dark and just kind of avant-garde this song is. But I think that the vocal performance is perhaps where I'm just not able to connect 100%. I listened to the karaoke track the other day, and I was like, wow, this is actually a pretty good song. I like this. And that just scares me a little bit. But when we get to Liverpool, and we've had this all the time where I'm like, I really just don't jive with this song very much. And then there's always one in Liverpool, or not in Liverpool, but at Eurovision that I'm like, ooh, wow, I've changed my mind completely. Serbia could be in contention for that, but I don't know. It's kind of like Velcro. It comes on and I'm like, ooh, this is here. And then when it's not, I'm like, and it's gone. Like, I just don't think about Serbia in my day-to-day life as I do other songs.
Okay, that is fair. And we're going to look at the comments in just a second, but let us look at the scores and give our scores first real quick and see where Serbia falls. James, what's your score for Serbia?
For this one, elements I like, and we've all 3 addressed the vocals. It's not that he's it's not about his performance. It's about whether they fit to the brooding synth line that runs throughout. So it's on that count that it's a 6 for me.
Oh, 6 points. So I actually don't like my own score anymore, considering now how addicted I am to it. I liked it the first time, and that's when I gave it the score, and now I'm just like, I have to playing this a lot. It just hits me right where it needs to. So I understand it's not flawless for the things that we pointed out, but I'm still giving it an 8.5 because I love it. It's in my top 10, so I have to give it a high score. Connor.
Well, allow me to counterbalance the votes here. So as I mentioned, a little bit like Velcro, not really for me, and that is okay. There are a lot of people out there who love this song, and so they are probably going to counteract me in our panel anyway. But unfortunately, it is a 4 for me. Can it rise in the ranks? Perhaps. I don't know, but it's just not one I seek out, not one that really resonates with me. And I pay attention more to the melodic line of the synth than I do most anything else.
You guys suck. No, it's okay. We all are allowed to have opinions, and it's not just the three of us. There's a whole team united to vote it and see if they're going to fall more where I am, where James falls, or maybe Connor. No,
probably not.
Probably not. We shall see. So I'm going to reveal the score for Serbia right here, right now, after this short commercial break. Now, let's go. Here it is. 8th place, currently 8th place out of 12 with 6.90. That's the score. And I think technically, James, you're the closest. So you think this is about right, or you thought it would be a little higher, lower?
It is. Now, I thought I was in the minority on being indifferent to it, and I've had a lot of arguments with people about this one because the people who love it really love it, and so I'm actually surprised, even though I'm not that big a fan of it, to see it this low, because I expected it to be higher, certainly higher than Germany. I guess it could be biased because of our group, in that there's a lot more vocal proponents for Serbia. Our louder members are Serbia fans rather than our Germany. So it is surprising to see it actually flipped in the scores.
Yeah, I thought Serbia would at least break the 7-point mark. That would be my hope and guess, but that did not happen. It's in a similar vein as you mentioned, Germany, not the style, the genre, but just the polarization of it. I think they get a lot of high scores and a lot of lower scores, and then you get something a little less impressive, maybe. That being said, 6.9 is not a bad score. Plus, we got still plenty of songs to go. But I personally think that was a surprise to me that it was this low. But that's just how the cookie crumbles. Let's take a look at some of the comments. Jocasta saying that's a good score given how polarizing the entry is. That's kind of like what I was saying. Let's see here. Oh, I need to remove the graphic here for that to actually show up. Hold on tight. Well, it only has to beat 5 songs instead of 6. And some people were talking about that in the chat as well. So I don't know who was it, but this is not necessarily a prediction video, but since it was asked a few times, let's bring it up. Connor, I know this is considered a really, really tough semi. And even though they only have to beat 5 songs to make it to the grand finals, putting your personal taste aside, do you think Serbia has a shot?
I mean, of course, I think anyone has a shot.
A reasonable shot, then, I should say, whatever you want to call it.
It's because of the fact that a lot of people have talked about, well, Constructa was really out there in avant-garde. But I think that there was a lot more for the general public to latch onto. I think that there were middle ground lovers and then fanatics. I think Serbia's gap is a lot larger this year. And when it is a televote only year, I think that is its struggle. Can it convert enough people from the down heres to push it to get a vote or two here and there and push it over? If it can't, then it could possibly struggle. Possibly. Regardless, if this was a jury and televote year, I'd be very scared because there's not a lot for the juries to love on here. But it's a televote year. And so if there's enough fanatics that show up for semi-1, sure, Serbia perfectly has a grand chance to qualify.
Yeah. I haven't done my predictions yet, but so I'm not even sure where it would land. I have to look at the competition. But I think one of the things that will help is there is no song like that in the running. So it has a little bit of monopoly from that perspective. That doesn't necessarily mean that's always a good thing, because it could be too polarizing or not enough for people to go super crazy over it. We shall see. It is Serbia after all. and they qualify more often than not. I think they only had like 2 or 3 non-qualifications so far. So I think right now my hunch tells me I'm leaning more towards yes to qualification than no. But again, this is not based on proper comparison, just more like a hunch. But it said 6.90 for Serbia, and now it's y'all turn. Go to the description box, click on Serbia's link, and vote. What score do you think they should get? And then we'll add those up at the very end as well. And I think we should move on to the next country because we've got plenty to talk about. And country number what, Connor? 3. Thank you. Do your job.
Sorry.
Country that's okay. You were like, is Romania. So after 3 consecutive non-qualifications, Romania finally managed to return to the finals last year. Now they're taking another shot, this time with Theodore Andrei, the song DGT Off and On. Won the Romanian national final, and as the Eurovision website phrases it, I always find it very interesting, it's a sassy rock song. And in interviews, Theodore actually expressed the desire to mix several music genres, and that would both appeal to Romanians and foreign listeners, wanting to create a song that Romania has never sent to the contest before. Is it working for us, or is it sometimes less is more kind of situation? Let's talk this through. Connor, go ahead.
I knew I was going to go first.
Sorry.
So this is another song that I don't gravitate towards, and whilst in Serbia's cases there are like maybe 1 or 2 things that I do kind of like, wow, okay, I do like this. I have to admit, I constantly forget that Romania exists in this year. Of course, I know that they are competing. Like, that's not something I forget. But just the melodic line, who they're being represented by, anything about the staging, like, I don't have anything that I've really been able to, I guess, be imprinted by in comparison to all of the other 36 songs that exist around them. Whether I like them or hate them, I remember things about them. Romania, I just think that it needs a lot of assistance. Really definitely needs a new staging concept, because that was, I don't understand. To this day, I still don't understand what they were trying to do. Maybe that's why I don't remember it. I tried to block it out of my memory. But I do want to give credit where credit is due. He is a good vocalist. I just don't think that this is the appropriate song to be competitive in a televote year to have sent. I don't know if it's going to connect across the masses.
Oh, all right. How about you, James?
Yeah, this one, yeah, there's a lot of wacky elements here. It starts out with what looks like a guy who works at KFC strolling into a West Hollywood nightclub and then having his clothes torn off. And from there it just gets even more confusing. Yeah, random women in the back doing furniture assembly or something. Yeah, as many people have mentioned, the staging is a disaster. But that being said, I still would give it a decent score, considering there's a lot there I think that can be tweaked before the day. You tighten up the staging. He does seem like he has potential to be a compelling singer. So if he can like rein in some of his more expressive antics, a little less showboating, I think there is potential here for Romania to at least improve by Liverpool. The song is what it is, unfortunately, so I don't know how much farther it can take. But there's a lot of elements I like here. As Connor mentioned with Serbia, elements to like, elements I don't like. However, personally, for me, the distance between the highs and lows are a lot narrower. So even though I might end up giving it the same score, I think, yeah, it's not a decent bad effort at all.
Well, I guess I have to get my karate chops ready, or whatever you call it. Moves. I don't know how that. But I gotta defend my precious Theodore here. I guess. Peoples are just underestimating awesomeness. I really like the song. I'm not. You saw if you watch my videos, my first reaction video, you saw. See, I'm consistent about that. Now you can make a case. It's a bit too busy, I guess, and a little bit over the map. But it really takes me back to the kind of music I listened to growing up. I listened to like grunge and Depeche Mode. You know, I don't get me wrong. I also listened to Mr. Vane, Mambo Number 5, and Be My Lover. You know, Be My Lover. So I'm not saying like I was just in one lane, but I always had appreciation for that kind of music and punk. But I'm digging the vibe of the song. That's just basically in a nutshell. We all agree. We pretend the staging, the national final performance never happened. It was a big, what the hell were you thinking there? How does it all come together? But that will be fixed in Liverpool. I'm not even worried about that, so I'm not taking that into consideration. So yes, as I mentioned in the introductions, it's somewhat experimental, even to a certain extent, and clearly in the process, Romania took a chance, it took a risk, and it didn't pay off completely from what I can see based on some of the reactions. But even I wouldn't put them on the top of my list. It's not that kind of song, but I do think it's an enjoyable song, and it does not deserve anywhere near the criticism that it receives in my book. And yes, and that's the hill I'm willing to die on. So fight me, everybody. I will protect you, Theodore. I like your song. Exactly. Thank you, Connor, for the visualization of that. So let's see. What's our score? Who can? Oh yeah, Connor.
Yeah, it's me. I'll keep it short and simple. Again, I think that Theodore has a wonderful vocal and vocal ability. It is just not the song, and it is also not leaving an impression on me. So unfortunately, I gave it a 2. I'm so sorry.
Ooh. James.
Since we're riffing on 90s music here, here's some advice for Theodore. With the lights out, Liverpool is dangerous. Here we are now. Entertain us. So be stupid and contagious. Still need more time on that one.
You okay?
Smells like Teen Spirit, Nirvana.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite songs. I know what.
Yes.
You asked me. I'm sorry. Yes, yeah, Nirvana. Yeah.
I'm just waiting for your score.
Oh, yeah, I was like hanging on. I'm like, what is it?
Sorry, I thought everybody had frozen again. 6 for me.
6. Okay, so yes, somebody in chat said, Matt, you like every song. Well, look at my previous videos, my reaction videos. So you see, I'm consistent. I'm not. It was like my first or second in the national final. So it should be high up on my list. So I just got lucky, I guess. And despite my praise, though, I will say I was extra vocal because of the voices of dissent here. I understand it's not the best written song in the running, and it's not even in my personal top 10 or whatever. But that being said, I just really like it, and I enjoy it when it's on. And I if it were up to me, it would be in the grand final in semi-2 easily. So 7.5. That's my score for Romania. So you hear our score. So I'm not too confident that this is going to go well for Theodore in our ranking. But Team United combined the scores and to give something to Romania. And here it is. 4.93. So it is currently 12 out of 13. So thanks a lot, Connor. So it's a close 5. That 4.93 may not be great. Keep in mind, we only have 13 songs so far. It's closer to 5, which is like average. So I wouldn't be too disappointed. What is that? You thought it would be lower, actually, Connor, or this is about where you saw it would fall?
So personal opinion, this is where I thought it would fall. I figured that it'd be a little higher just because I feel like us giving below a 5 isn't 100% common as an average. But I think that it just goes to show you that where we've been talking about this gap of people who are super, super big fans of it and people who are very polarized by it. I feel like Theodore's issue is that there are people who have lukewarm receptions to it and probably put it in somewhere in their lower top 10, or it's not even in the top 10 to begin with. And so I think that is probably why he ended up closer to 5, is that you all aggregate down to the middle instead of being aggregating to our 7 rounds, as we've had on the top 6, 7, or 8 or whatever. They aggregate towards an even higher average than unfortunately he does.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. You nailed it there. And even I knew that my score would be a more of an outlier more than anything, but it's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. It is just not, unlike when we had like Germany, what was the other, Serbia, where it doesn't have as much of the polarization factor where it goes like to the top of people's list, more like, as you said, 8th to 10th place kind of situation. And therefore it kind of misses out maybe on higher scores, I think. And so yeah, I'm not too surprised. Still a little disappointed, I'm not gonna lie, but I guess we'll see what's going to happen in Liverpool. That'll not impact the outcome there. That's just our ranking, but we are not done yet. We are not done yet, y'all. As always, you can still vote. Go to the link in the description. Vote for Romania. Do you think it deserves more? Give it a nice score. If not, then give it what it deserves. That's just kind of how it's supposed to work, I guess. So are you ready to talk about the 4th country of the evening? Show me, Connor. Thank you. And that gorgeous nail polish of yours.
Thank you.
It looks fabulous. You're taking Roy's position here. That's usually like, I'm always like a Roy's thing, and now I'm like, you
Well,
guys.
listen, Roy only does black nail polish. I'm
Oh,
going with
okay,
both.
that's right. That is
So,
right. So, anyways, we're not here to talk about nail polish, as exciting as it is. We're here to talk about Denmark. And the Scandinavian nation failed to qualify for 2 years in a row. Now, if this happens again, by the way, this year, this would be their longest non-qualification streak ever. So Riley is hoping to save the day. His Breaking My Heart was victorious in Dansk Melodi Grand Prix. And the young singer is a major social media personality on TikTok, apparently. I'm not familiar with TikTok, but people tell me. And also, he had success in the South Korean charts. And according to Riley, he says the song was written during a toxic romantic relationship that Riley had faced. So, what do we think about the song? Only one way to find out, by talking about it. So, I will say that the song to me is absolutely within Denmark's comfort zone. Like, this is a Danish friendly song, even though it won the televote, but you know what Danish broadcaster is comfortable with, I feel like. And I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie. It's a bit young and very Gen Z focused almost, but it's still enjoyable to me, actually. It's cute, it's catchy, and I'm digging the vibe more than I thought I did, actually. Now, still curious if they will allow this effect during the chorus to be used at the contest, and I really think that Breaking My Heart could actually break Eurovision. And by that, I mean, if it's allowed here, this is here to stay, and vocals become less or irrelevant or less relevant in the future, because, it really overshadows his actual singing. But I'm here to judge the song. And while once again, it's not going to set my personal scoreboard on fire, it's a pleasant melody. And everything is just totally digestible in the song to me. A few broader audience appeal here as well. It could do quite well at the contest. So I'm thinking this could go quite far, especially in the semi too. I would have loved if the song would have taken a few more risks, because it's definitely more in the predictable bucket. Like, I kind of knew what would happen in the song next. So there were no surprise moments. But in some ways, maybe that's also a good thing. It's just a comfortable, easy, fun song that people just, you don't always have to have like the Serbias and all that stuff that's out there. So it's just fun. I enjoy it. And that's where I land. How about you, James?
All right. So for this one, for those keeping track, this is our very first entry ever from the Faroe Islands. And when I first heard that, I was like, oh, yeah, they make great music there. Like, Hold the Heathen Hammer High. Oh, great metal songs out of that part of the world. And then, we come to this song. Okay, which is nothing like that. And it's some TikTok fella. And like Matt, I'm like, you kids on my lawn doing your dances on the TikTok. Get off. What the hell are you doing? And yeah, I think it does suffer from what us old farts consider the ADD of the TikTok generation. Because like Matt said, it starts off really pleasantly. It's got a nice flow to it. The pre-chorus I really like. and then that robot chorus hits, and it's like, it just takes me right out of it. So that is just a really huge problem for me. And also, it just keeps recycling a lot of the same parts. It just gets real repetitive, and I'm kind of indifferent about it. I don't hate it, and I'm not going to, in my elderly stupor, get out of bed shouting "Riley,
Riley."
But yeah, just indifference for me.
Indifference from James. Connor, where do you fall?
So I agree with most of the sentiments that have been made, especially about like the robotic vocoder overlay here. I just, for me as an artist, I should say I'm an artist, as a musician, as a singer, I question why the songwriters wrote this song in the key that it's in, knowing that he can't sing those notes with good support, with or without that kind of robotic overlay. Because I think that's the problem we have here. We've been and we've heard at the pre-parties that it's just his notes are so open and unsupported that it sounds bad. So at a point, if we don't get that, I feel like it's going to struggle and just stumble all the way down. And I don't want that. I like this song in studio and I enjoy it, but every time I watch the live performance, I'm just like, oh gosh, this gives me a lot of nerves and anxiety for how it's going to go. So it's a wild card for me this year because I think it depends on how Denmark addresses this. Maybe they lower the key. Maybe they have a dub vocal behind him that's going to help here. Something. They have to reinvent the wheel slightly, because as it is right now, I'm not very confident in how this is going to go live in Liverpool.
Yeah, that's a very fair assessment in my view as well, actually. And everyone in the chat, feel free to ask questions or statements, and we'll try to address them. Let's give our scores here real quick. I will say that Riley is lucky that I gave my score like a few weeks ago after only listening to it once or twice. It probably grew off a little bit of me, but I'm maybe glad. It's a sweet, hummable sing-along song, and it's a little bit more of the uplifting songs this year that you're just like, da, da, da. And Denmark is so good at sending sweet songs. So I have it as a 7.5. It would be more like a 7 or 6.5 now by now, probably. But as I said, lucky Riley. James.
Right on the indifferent mark, 5 for me.
Right smack down in the middle, 5 points. Connor.
Well, it's not a 2, so that's exciting.
Oh.
We finally entered my congenial era here, but it's a 5 for me as well. It's very much just I seek it out in the studio. I don't seek it out in the live performance right now, and I'm gonna have to really wait until Liverpool to see, I guess, what's my final reaction to what we have, what Denmark has as a package.
All right. There you have it. This is what we gave Denmark. Let's see what Team United overall gave it. So based on this right now, I'm not too confident, but let's find out. Denmark has received 5.92. Currently in 9th place, I see Albania. I forgot to fix the 10th place there. They're in 10th, but that's fixed on the next scoreboard. Don't worry. I just was too lazy to redo it when I saw that. I didn't have time. I wasn't too lazy. Just, I had less than, I only had a few hours. Anyway, I digress. The point is 9th place, 5.92, which is closer to 6 than 5, which the two of you gave. James, what are your thoughts?
Did we, Connor, did we hire a bunch of kids recently to bring up?
Hey, I gave it a higher score. Right here, I can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, I expected it to be a little lower. I expected it to be in the Switzerland, Greece cluster, mostly because I've been hearing a lot of polarizing views on this one. So for me, this one actually is a little higher than expected. So yeah, I wonder if Connor's like hiding a stable of 20 to 25-year-old we don't know about.
I'm right here again. I think this song actually has a lot more broad appeal than people. That's often with Denmark. In the case, anyways, like even "Love Is Forever." I'm not. There is this almost deep-seated dislike for certain songs from Denmark, and then they do quite well at the contest. Not the past couple of years, but in the past. So there is something to be said for those songs. So I could see Denmark falling into a similar bucket, at least with the televoters. They tend to do quite well, actually, and I think they have this thing where they're oftentimes undervalued, estimated, for the lack of a better word. So I could see that happening here as well. Maybe that's why it is a little higher than some of us thought, because I would say the same thing. Let's bring this one up. Freedom was miles better. That's the song that came second in the Danish national final. And not only that, it actually won the televote, but the juries overruled that one. James, I would assume you would agree with that.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah, me too. Connor?
Yeah, there's just more to play off of with that song. Like just staging wise, you don't really have to give him a staging. He just does the staging for you. So I would have picked it, but I understand why they picked Riley. It has international appeal, but it needs a live fine tuning.
Yeah, that's fair. And it's the same category as Poland as far as age group appeal. Do you see that comparison, James, or is that a different market we're talking about?
I see where he's coming from with that. Yeah, because personally, for someone in my age group, I think their online, the social media for Poland's been an absolute disaster, and it's not been better for Denmark. But I'm obviously not 21, so I don't know how that's jiving with that particular audience. But yeah, I get what he's saying there.
Yeah. So, but our score, that's not everything. We need to hear from you as well. Go and down there. There is a link for Denmark. Vote. What score do they deserve? Or he. For some reason, I was thinking a band. They, the country. Anyways, vote. Give your score, and I will show you the results soon. We got a few more countries to go through, of course. So with no further ado, let's do that. And we are at song number, Connor, tell me. 5. That is correct. And according to my smart list, that is Armenia. And Armenia's song went viral last year. We all remember that. Can it happen again this year? Now, Brunette, internally selected, just what the country has been done for several years, now singing about her future lover. She has been singing since the age of 4 and is a member of a girl band named, or translates to Those Girls. There's no way I can actually pronounce the Armenian name. Look it up if you need to see it. So what's in the stars for Armenia now? We don't know, but what we can share are our opinions, and on the song, of course, our scores. So let's dive right into it. Let's start with you, Connor. What are your thoughts on the Armenian entry?
So for me, I always feel bad for Armenia because they release their songs so late. And so there's a part of me that's like, I'm already so attached to a number of songs, and then I have to like throw Armenia in there. For me, it's giving me a little bit of Dark Horse energy. I don't want to say that it's giving me Snap energy, because I think Snap's success obviously was post Eurovision, but this is giving me possible at Eurovision Dark Horse energy, because she has been really delivering vocally at all the pre-parties, regardless of all the sound issues that have been happening. This song is more of a live song than it is a studio song. And I think at the end of the day, whilst the lyrics, yes, are inspired by a number of Tumblr lines.
Sorry, that was rude.
No, it's the truth. It is inspired by Tumblr lines.
My laugh is kind of inappropriate. Sorry.
But the fact that she's able to just so flawlessly deliver like an emotional experience, it makes me really excited, and I'm really excited to see what they have to pull live, because Armenia has been bringing it in the past few years in their live performances. So this could do some great stuff. I also love the orchestral pieces of this track, because it is one of very few songs this year that has an orchestral track and not just a regular instrumental. So love that, but I wish I gave my score a little bit later because I'm regretting it right now.
Interesting. We'll talk about that. Yeah, it is something again more experimental coming from Armenia. It's like this whole look. Here are 5 songs we're going to send to Eurovision, and they're like, "What? We can only send one. Let's put them all together." And it's a dangerous thing to do to me. And here, I don't know if that's working for me. The advantage for Armenia is though, at least according to me, maybe they'll apply to others as well. The first time you listen to it, it's quite intriguing. Like you listen to the rap part and then the big bell effect comes in. You're just like, oh, that's cool. And it takes you on a little bit of a journey there. And that can be effective. It did work on me once. And then unfortunately, Future Lover does not have a really longevity to me that the song needs to really go far and stay on my playlist for long periods of time. And after the first listen again, which was fine, I was less interested. The second time, then I was like, So you already mentioned the lyrics part, which we have been discussing for God knows how long, so I'll skip over that. And I know that English is not her first language, and I don't want to be too harsh with that part, but one thing that is a little bit of pet peeve of mine and that I cannot get over almost is that I wish she would enunciate or pronounce the D at the end just a little bit more, because all is stugu, yugu, fugu, dudu, and should have been my you good, do good, So it's almost like kids talk, like baby talk, like good, good, and I know that's not what she means, but I always hear, I'm talking to my little niece or nephew, like goo goo do, and I know, so it's just a little part that drives me nuts. So. But yeah, the song is fine for me, and I see the appeal. I don't necessarily think it's just, I know what they're trying to go for, and you cannot capture everyone, so it didn't capture me as much. At the same time, it's not a bad song. So, and my score will not be that horrible. It's just, I don't listen to it much. So that's where I fall. James.
All right. So Connor mentioned this. The orchestration is well done on this one. I do agree with him on that part. And Armenia, typically over the years, with their composers, probably because a lot of them get classically trained in high school, you end up with a lot of Armenian writers who are good at blending orchestral music with modern beats. So that, I think, is a strong point of modern Armenian music. Now, what is not a strong point of modern Armenian music is rapping. And I think that rap section in the middle is like one big fart from the Caucasus. It just totally ruins the song. I don't believe it works. And they even brag about it in the video. It's like, oh, the big clashing of the bells. It's like, oh, yeah, let's advertise this discordant moment to all. And then, yeah, the lyrics, I'd pulled them up and, dear God,
I regret that.
Yeah, I do regret that. I lost a few out. I could see my IQ points just going right down. Just, but yeah, there is a lot to be said for it. So I don't totally hate it because I'm like, the build right there up to the rap part is great. Then then the outro is very solid. It ends on a nice note to it. It's just that middle part that's just ugh.
I meant to add that as well, actually, so I'm glad you brought that up about the end. So before we check out some of those comments, let's give our scores first. Connor, what did you give it?
Yeah, so like I said, I think that this has really grown on me over the last few weeks since its release, and I assigned its score very quickly after the release. So I did give it a 6. I think if I were able to give it a re-rank, it probably would go up to a 7, because I have really been coming back to it and really enjoying it. And it's because of, yes, not the great lyrics, but the delivery, the performance, the experience, and the orchestration, all of that together. This is a pretty solid package to me.
Yeah. Just to reiterate what James just said, because I meant to make that point as well, is the third part, like after the rap, when the big more orchestration comes in with the final chorus, I was like, it's really pretty. That's my favorite part, and I wish we would have had more of that. There are other countries out there who have something similar. I'm not going to say any other names right now. They have a similar issue. It's not on my radar much. Again, I listened to the first time, then lost interest quickly. Doesn't make it a bad song. Therefore, 5.5 points from me. 5.5. James.
All right. It's just a 5 from me. It's right down the middle. The big negative cancels out the big positive for me. So it's just like right down the middle there.
Okay. So there you have it. 5, 5.5, 6. So technically, I'm in the middle. Is the average score a 5.5 for Armenia, or are we overruled? Well, it's time to find out. I can read I hope this is the right one. Okay, so here is the Armenian score. 6.31, currently in 9th place. So certainly a little bit higher than what we gave it. Team United likes it better. Now, Connor, you said you would have given it a little bit more, so you must be a little bit more okay with this score, or you think it should have been even better?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it because it's closer to what I actually gave it, and I worried that some people, again, especially because it was a late arrival, it may not have left a large impression on people. But at the end of the day, I still think that is an okay score. Personal people are going to want it higher or lower, but for Armenia, having really only the studio to base off of, I think is a good score. I think maybe once we get to, like I said before, once we get to Liverpool and we have a live staging that maybe can leave more of an impression on people, the overall feelings will start to kind of polarize themselves out of the middle.
Okay, that's fair. Let's take a look at some of the comments. That's too low. I expected higher than Australia. So, James, you clearly disagree with that assessment.
Oh yeah, I would have been really surprised if it had been lower, if it had been higher than Australia. I certainly wouldn't have expected that. Yeah, I expected it to be about where it is. Yeah, Connor mentions these late ones tend to lack impact. I can think of a certain neighbor of theirs whose very late arrival left even less of an impression on people. But we'll talk about them in due course. And yeah, I guess it's those kids and you again, Matt, who brought up the average higher. That high.
Yep. These kids don't exist on our team, James.
The only reason why it's not higher is because of the pronunciation of the words. Do you agree with that, Connor?
I would say that it probably leaves a slight distaste in some people's opinion. You know, I think a lot of people had a lot of criticisms about Euphoria and Laureen because sometimes, I guess, if you listen to it and you haven't looked up the lyrics, you probably don't know the actual lyrics to Euphoria. You have I think the lyrics are. So in this case, I don't say she was that far bad. You know, you generally know what she's trying to say, but it's like you said earlier, it's letters that are just missing alongs the way, but you can kind of reassemble what the word is. It's not a complete mispronunciation or, oh wait, you mean she's not saying this? I've been singing it this way. Like Brooke's song last year, I literally didn't know that she was saying bye bye fool. I thought it was bye bye boy the entire time before we got.
I still thought that was
Turin.
the case. Bye bye boy.
It's bye bye fool. Or the other way around. I always forget it. But anyway, it's not that case. We just have some missing D's and T's, and I think that people can get over that.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah. But this is just our score. I know that not everyone in the chat apparently agrees with the score, and that is fine. And that is why we have the viewer score as well, and that'll be added. So make sure to go into the description box, click on the link, and vote. How many points does Armenia deserve? If you want to bring out that overall score, now is your chance. Because if you don't vote, then that's up to you. That's your fault. So, who is next? We are at song number what? Connor? Do you imagine?
51.
50. Oh dear. Could you imagine a show with 51? I mean, no, I wouldn't complain. The next country on our list that we're going to discuss is Cyprus. And Cyprus, as almost always, chooses internally, and they settled on Andrew Lembrou, and the entry Break a Broken Heart. He's also Australian, by the way, and actually tried to represent Australia last year, taking part in Australia Decides. It wasn't enough to make it to Turin, but enough to land on someone on an important people's radar, I guess. The song's described as a ballad about relationships that end with a broken heart, but in the end, they might very well push us to rise again from the ashes, even stronger. It's all fine and dandy, but does it do anything for us? Well, let's talk about it. So, James, why don't you go first?
All right. Well, first, to address a couple of questions, my cat's name is Smokey. So
Smokey.
Yes,
that's a cool name.
Yeah. So with regards to this one here, it's a very safe song, shall I say? It's not upping sticks in any part of in anything. Very safe, a solid vocal performance. This is the one I feel that myself and a lot of other people might have underscored based on the video and the studio release, but if he does it well live, might start seeing this one bump up in the ratings. And yeah, so the Australia thing obviously explains why there's a drive-in movie theater. I was wondering where he was going with that thematically, with the abandoned drive-in and the abandoned warehouse, because I don't know how it fit in with the lyrics necessarily, but yeah, I don't mind it. It's a decent, solid entry, and yeah, Andrew's live performance will be the key here.
So yeah, Andrew and Lorraine, by the way, they have a lot of songwriting overlap. Yet everyone talks about Lorraine, nobody talks about Andrew, it seems. I think since we haven't seen like the full staging or know Andrew as well as an artist, maybe that plays into it. I don't know. I'm somewhat guilty of that myself. I think it's a good, solid Swedish entry, right? It's a bit overly produced, Eurovision friendly bucket kind of thing, but not a bad song. And as a matter of fact, I quite like it. I really like it. It's one of those entries that I constantly hum at home, and more than most, or like any other Swedish or Swedish adjacent entry, I guess. It is just now up to Andrew to really package it in a manner to make it more of a competitive song. But I do think some people are sleeping on this song. It's a solid and chart-friendly song, and I wouldn't call it like a masterpiece. And if anything, it is more of a guilty pleasure. And by that, I mean, there is a certain predictability and comfort in that song, and maybe I shouldn't like it as much as I do. So I acknowledge its shortcomings. At the same time, I'm not overthinking it too much. It's just one of the songs that it's more often played on my playlist. Not my number one, not at the very top, but it is just insanely enjoyable to me. And that's where I fall with Cyprus. Connor.
So for me, I agree with what we've said, that it is it's not a entirely inventive song. And the danger here is that I could have a little bit of an Andromachy backlash of, wow, I really like this song, but then we get to the live vocal and the live performance and it falls a little flat. So I think that is perhaps, speaking of why maybe people are sleeping on it or not talking about it or anything like that. For pretty much almost all the other songs, we at least have some benchmark of performance to go off of, and Cyprus and CyBC have been like really holding on to this performance, maybe just for the big grand reveal. But I think for me, what I really love is I do love just the melodic lines that they have written in this song. Of course, you can really hear Andrew Lambrew's, I guess, influence or statements in this piece. And I really am appreciative that the Cypriot delegation and team, and also I guess Andrew, because he was a part of the selection process, have finally started to step out of okay, we have to send a pop song this year. We have to send a dance pop song. We have to send a dance pop song. We have to send a dance pop song. Yes, it didn't pay off last year, but I at least am appreciative that they are taking chances now and they're trying some new things instead of just resting on their laurels of, well, we know that this is going to get us through the grand final. Because at a point, probably around El Diablo, I was kind of a little bored of the same thing. So I at least appreciate that we have something different.
All right. That's fair. And before we look at some of those comments, let's get our scores in first and then the overall score. James, what's your score for Cyprus?
Right, with the panel saying we have to send a pop song, it's like their delegation was in replay.
Ooh.
Dad joke of the day.
That's okay. We need some dad jokes in here.
Yeah. For me, the score is 6. Again, I don't mind it. There's some strong elements, and I could see the score going higher if because with it not being talked about, this has a potential to be the one that's closer to the time where people, if he puts in a good rehearsal performance, people then can start coming in, and it could be one of those coming out of nowhere. So it is, it has a potential to increase for me, but right now 6.
Yeah. And then now I'm mostly the Paula Abdul on the panel. Usually I have so much respect and love for the songwriters. And even if I maybe not jive with the song, I still can acknowledge and appreciate the effort that was put forward, even if it's not completely to my liking. And this one, actually, I looked at my score and I was like, maybe I was a little bit too nice actually looking at it, because I do really like it, but maybe it's not as strong as some of the others. But I want Cyprus to do well. I actually gave it 8 points. And I'm like, well, maybe 7.5 would have been more appropriate. But anyway, I gave it 8. Connor.
Well, if you are Paula, then I will claim Randy and I will give James Simon.
Okay. Oh dear.
But shout out to all of our Americans watching who actually know who we're talking about. But for me, I agree with James, which is not something that Randy would do. But I also am on the 6th level.
Pitchy dog. You little pitchy dog. That's what you need to say. Anyway.
Yeah, just a little pitchy, which he could be. And again, this could be one of those things where I expect something big from Cyprus, and it's whether or not this all is going to come together and work on the stage. That's I think going to be the make or break it for them. But at least in studio, what I've listened to multiple times, it's a solid song.
I didn't catch your score. What did you say?
I said it's a 6.
6. Okay, yeah, I missed that part. So there you have it. Now we need to find out where Cyprus falls overall. And I'm bringing up the board right now. And this is what we got. 6.37, slightly edging out Armenia. Again, it's like the third one in a row, I think, that finished in 9th place. Yeah. That's like the number of the day here. Yeah, I can see that happening. As again, I think my score was a little bit generous, I guess. So I see a 6.37. No, I would have given it more like closer to. I think it should have been a little higher. Yeah, I'm like debating this right now. Since the two of you gave it a 6, so you both should be like, yeah, this is about right. Connor?
Yeah, I would say it's about right. I would say I think if you hadn't given it your score, it actually probably would have been close, if not just below Armenia. So you probably drug it up just a tiny bit. But yeah, I think based off of no one really talking about it and us not knowing full reactions about people, this ends up, at least of the songs that we've seen so far, in the middle objectively. But I wouldn't be surprised as the other songs are evaluated that other songs start to just push it further and further down.
That's fair. Yeah. So let's see some comments. I like it a lot. I hope it manages those high notes live as well. 8 points. And I agree, because that's what I gave it. Only thing I've seen live so far, I haven't really done any research on it, but I saw some TikTok clips of his, and of course he put the most flattering videos on there, of course, and it sounded good there. Has anyone seen any of his other performances, Connor, James, where you can judge it a little, like he can sing those high notes well? Or is it more like Spain, what we happened with Blas Canto, where we thought he can, and then they were just a little screechy in the end?
Well, not necessarily his high notes, but he did do a very wonderful cover of Molitva from Serbia, 2007. Yes.
Hmm.
So that was very good. Of course, again, the best take of it, so hit or miss. But um, I feel like he's been working really hard on it. So this could be, everyone was like, "Oh, Aiden Lean can't do those notes," and she showed up and did them, except for on the final night where she kind of missed it a little. If he can pull them off, it'll be great. If he can't, then I hope they have a plan B in place.
I know, right? Well, they can always do what Dami did in 2017. Is it love? She always just sang, "Is it love?" And then the backup vocal
Oh
was
yeah,
cranked up, and she did all the heavy lifting.
yeah, but gotta make sure it's in tune though. Otherwise, it's very obvious.
Hmm. One of the many reasons why they don't want us to see the individual rehearsals anymore, because we're just like, oh, no. Anyways, I digress. I also don't understand why Cyprus went for Australia decides reject. I don't necessarily like the term reject because just because you didn't win a national final because of a lot of competition. What place did he end up in? Do we remember? Seventh? Oh, that is not as high as I thought it would be. Do we know? Well, I mean, I know he's half Australian. Was he famous in Cyprus? Do we have any information on that or why he was chosen? Because he
So
was
he does,
actually chosen before the song, right?
yes, he does have his family is Cypriot, so he is part Cypriot, and then
Yes.
I don't know the full details, but they currently reside in Australia. But he has a very deep attachment to his Cypriot roots, so I think that was a part of it. And then I don't know, maybe there's some behind the scenes stuff that we don't know, or his manager threw him out as an option, or Panic was just like, "Hey, we really want this person. We're gonna see if we can get him." Who knows? But at the end of the day, CyBC and Panic Records wanted him, so he
There
is
you
at
have it.
least he at least knows the country, which is better than scouting someone who has no connection to your country
Connection.
whatsoever.
I know, right? So if you think this is a good score or not, doesn't matter. Please vote in the poll below because the viewer score will also be included, and then we'll have the final ranking in the near future for that. Very much appreciated. So we are now at song number, I forgot even. 7. No, you're wrong. 7.
7, 8,
7.
7, 6,
7.
5, 4.
Get it right. You have one job, Connor. One job. That's okay. And that one is Czechia. And for the first time, Czechia had a live national final. In previous years, they had just an online thing. So just a step up in the right direction, I suppose. They had a landslide winner in Vesna and My Sister's Crown, an all-female band. My Sister's Crown is about a story of sisterhood and as a protest against gender inequality, saying that you can have support from other people. And on the subject of equality, it's not just between women, but everyone. And I guess we all can applaud that message, but is the song doing this effectively? Let's talk this through. I would love to hear from you, James. Your thoughts on Czechia, formerly known as Czech Republic.
Oh God, here you go. You set me up to be the most hated man in the ESC fandom.
You're welcome.
Right now.
I don't even know what your score is. So,
anyway, for this one, so it reminds me. Last week, I went to the Broad Museum in Los Angeles. I went to see the William Kentridge exhibit, and William Kentridge is this anti-apartheid artist who does these powerful charcoal drawings and animations. He was known for his 1980s stuff, very powerful about the exploitation of labor, particularly black labor, and the inequalities and humiliation, degradations they face, and brutality. But then they also had his later work, which tended to be a bit more, tended to be about the Middle East and other areas that Kentridge was not from. And I promise there's a point to this. So
I cannot wait. Go ahead. Sorry.
So Kentridge's father was Nelson Mandela, one of Nelson Mandela's lawyers in his 1963 treason trial. So William Kentridge had a personal connection, and he saw firsthand. So there was always like this sort of personal connection with the anti-apartheid stuff, and with his Palestinian stuff, it comes off as a little dry and academic and a little distant here. And that's how I feel about this particular performance. Yes, I get the message they're going for. However, do I think this sort of art house with the clowns and like the more avant-garde elements, do I think it works to sell it? Not so much. Now, I'm not going to suggest what they should do to sell the idea of Slavic sisterhood and an appeal to peace. But and I'm definitely not the target audience for this, but personally, as a Eurovision punter, I don't think it works. And it works only sort of more as an academic exercise rather than a piece with emotional impact.
I find it very interesting, the academic exercise you were talking about. Because when I watch the music video, every time I think like they just open the floodgates to let all the young students at some art school go wild, trying to squeeze in as many visual metaphors as humanly possible, and maybe a little much. But so I'm very curious about the staging because it's clearly going to change from what we saw before. The song to me is quite good, actually. I really appreciate some of the less traditional approach in some ways. It's not sitting in your average safe zone. My score is going to be a spoiler alert. Once again, not the kind of song that I really listen to in the studio version. Very important to me. But maybe now that I'm putting on my jury hat a little, I acknowledge some of the artistry in the song that I feel, as Czechia and Vesna deserves a bit credit here. The national final performance was a little bit of a letdown, I'm not going to lie, but I put this in a similar bucket as Spain. Not the song itself, right? But just the whole, it really could come alive with the staging. Now we know with Blanca Paloma, she has already proven to us it can and will work, most likely, right? With Vesna, we are still waiting on the final product with better sound quality in all of the fields. So that's why I'm a little bit more of a question mark there. But yeah, I'm waiting. Right now, it's to me a good song, and I desperately want to put it in my great bucket, but it's not quite there yet. So I'm hoping that whatever happens in Liverpool will get me to I can move them over into that area. Connor.
Yeah, no, I feel similarly that, I feel bad that I guess there's just like this Czechia curse when it comes to the overall fan impression of when the song gets decided and before we get to Eurovision, where they've just yet to be able to be like, aha, and here is a solid performance of this song for you to base us off of. I would say they had a really good performance yesterday in Amsterdam that made me feel a little bit more secure. And they've made edits to the song to take out parts so they can actually breathe, which was the reason why most of the lyrical pieces, especially the chorus, were struggling, was because they were out of breath. It just was really poor writing. I think that as well, there are maybe a little bit you said about the music video that maybe there's just too much visually. I think there's also just a little too much musically in here between the opening, the verse, the chorus, the rapping, the instrumentals. I feel like everything's just all kind of competing against each other instead of creating a harmonious symphony of culture. I feel like they're all competing against each other and who's going to win at the end. So, I think that with the proper staging and a proper performance, I could probably overlook some of these kind of competing elements. But right now in what we have, I'm really just noticing that it's kind of like, okay, we're going to A, okay, pause. Okay, now we're going to B and pause. Now we're going to rap at C, pause. Now we're going back to the verse. I need it to be, we're starting and we make it all the way to 3. And I've yet to see that, and I have some concerns. But they have a lot of time. They have 2 more weeks. They can rehearse. They can figure things out. They can do some cardio, get some breath control. Maybe it all comes together.
I'm a bit disappointed that I thought I was going to be the Debbie Downer here. So right now, the responses are a little lukewarm, but again, there are only 3 of us. And any questions or concerns, put them in the chat. But first, let's give our scores. James, what's yours?
For me, I gave it a 5, and yeah, I agree. Also, I didn't mention it in my long rant, but yeah, I agree totally with those almost competing elements with the vocals as well.
Okay. Initially, I probably would have given it a 6, but I really just appreciate some of the things that they're trying to do. I'm just waiting now for them executing it right. So I was a little more kind, as I said earlier. I'll give it 7. 7 points to Czechia from me. Connor.
Fair enough. Well, I originally was going to put this in my wild card category, which would put it around a 5, but I feel like there are still a few elements to it that I do enjoy. So I pushed higher and decided to give it a final score of a 6.
Okay. All right. So right now, if we could believe our average score, I think it would be a 6 because 5, 6, 7, right? So let's see what the team overall gave it for Czechia. Dun dun dun. 7.40. So equals its current 6th place. I'm hearing some giggles coming from Connor. You think that's higher than you thought? I thought this is kind of where it was. I thought I was the exception, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I feel like, and then maybe this is just me not paying attention, but I feel like there's been a lot of people who just stopped talking about this song. So I guess it shocks me just a little bit to see it up there in that 7 category. But I mean, at the end of the day, there was a lot of chatter about this when this song first came out, and a lot of people were very, very supportive. So maybe that support has just been happening just behind the scenes, whether on our team or just abroad. Maybe this is more reflective of how people actually feel.
I think what happened here, I think you're kind of right, because it's may not, because it was one of the earlier songs released as well. But the song, what it has going for it, there are a lot of lovers of the song, right? So there were a good amount of high scores, and there's very little dissent per se. Like even when you look at the chat right now or just comments, it's not like a whole lot. This song is terrible, 1 point, right? So I think it's like worst case scenario. It's mostly like what James kind of had. You appreciate the artistry, like to a certain extent. It's more like midfield, but then all the ones that really, really like it, they put it higher up. So I think that is what happened. So overall, a pretty decent, a really good score, currently in 6th place. So let's see. Let me jump over here to the chat. Let's see this question. Charlie saying, who in the public is going to vote it that high, or the jury? I don't see it, but I've plenty of wrong before. I mean, it's hard to say. James, do you think this, I mean, the assuming Vesna's going to make the cut, right? And it's going to go to the finals. Is this more of a jury or televote pleaser? Or could both potentially?
I would say traditionally it's more of a jury pleaser. However, as an overall team, we do tend to have I guess what we would call a Slavic blind spot, in that we don't have too many people who populate the Slavic bubble. So it could be there's enough. So it's like a pan-Slavic appeal. For all we know, there could be, as you say, unknown amounts of people out there, particularly like in your Slavic countries, who could gravitate towards this.
Yeah. And one interesting comment I want to bring up here, I really like the message of the song, especially I feel the part, we are not your dolls. As a woman, I feel very strongly. Fortunately, we don't have a female on the team this round, but next round we will. So I think with the next one after. So would have been nice to have a female perspective on that as well, because it has, I mean, it's not just a women empowering song, but it certainly has that little bit the sisterhood feel to it. So that certainly makes sense. And we have women on the team. I just, I don't know how high they ranked it actually, but I haven't broken it out by gender. But yeah, that is a very interesting point that you bring up there as well. And I wanted to highlight that. So that is what Team United is giving Czechia. Now, let's talk. Actually, before we move on, I want to make sure that you guys get to vote as well. Use the link in the description box, give it a score, and then we'll add that at the very end as well. All right. We got song number 8. Thank you, Connor. And that's our second last, actually. Gosh, time flies. Next up on our list is Lithuania. And it's always nice to see a familiar face. Monica is back. She previously represented Lithuania back in 2015, part of a duo that now she gets to do it all by herself. Song is titled Stay. She wanted to write a song about how important it is to pause and come back to yourself. And some lines in the song relate to the Lithuanian folk sutras, speaking about a yearning for hearing a voice of our heart more and more. She's in the second semifinal, by the way, slot number 15, the second to last entry of the night. And let me just say, get it out of the way, to me, such an improvement from a 2015 entry. And the song that always gives me a cavity, like love, love, round and round and round. I know that wasn't for me then. But here I can feel the effort that was put into the song. I really enjoy it. It's mid-tempo, a little slower maybe, but it's just a dangerous place to be in, always in a competitive environment, but I'm kind of vibing with it. And it goes into a similar category that I put Greece in yesterday, where the question is, will the song make me want to vote for it? Like, there's no denial here. I like it. In a semi where it's 100% televote setup, you need to be on the top of people's list to get any points. To me, it's always thinking, oh, this is a nice 5th place for me. So not actually would call for it, but I also want to say, Monica, what really makes a difference, please bring the backup vocalist with you to Liverpool. It really made such an impact to me. It sounds way better live. It creates an intimacy that I just really appreciated. I remember like John Lundvik in 2019, Too Late for Love, the studio version was just so meh. But then live, I was like, oh, yeah. So I could see a similar effect here as well. It would make the song performance stand out. So overall, it's a good song. Again, it's in a similar bucket as I mentioned earlier. I wanted to put it in the great bucket. So I cannot wait for Liverpool. Connor, go ahead.
Well, I'm watching the chat go through, and
Oh dear.
boy, I feel bad because I disagree with everyone in the chat, and I agree with you, Matt, that this song, for some strange reason, and a reason that perhaps I cannot define, has left an impression on me. And I think that it's part because of Monica and the charisma that she has on stage. I think if you think back to the original version of the entry when it first competed in Pamadama's Dojo, I would have said, yeah, no, that's not super impressionable, because the descant chorus was just oohing or eyeing or something. But as it progressed through the final and they changed up and they warmed up the stage, they gave it that cool like cultural iconography. They changed it and they put that Lithuanian text chant into the chorus. It just has been getting, and it's been growing slowly and slowly on me. So this is a song that I do listen to fairly often. I do really enjoy it. And, this may just be an us thing, that maybe we are just like so in love with the song that we don't represent the popular opinion. But this is a song that I'm excited about. I'm getting vibes of when I was excited for Lithuania 2018. And really not a ton of people were talking about that song. And then I just still think back to that song, and even though they are no longer together, I'm like, wow, this gives me chills. I'm feeling.
I didn't know that. Oh, you just broke my heart. Oh, they ruined.
Sorry, they're no longer together. That was a while ago. But I get that same like build up feeling of like, I'm so excited to see this live, and I know that I'm going to have a positive reaction to it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. James.
All right. Matt actually brought them up, the backing singers. Has anyone looked into, does the country of Lithuania have a relationship with Fiorella LaGuardia High School in New York City? Because so many of their graduates end up performing at Lithuania's national final.
Really?
Yeah, another one, Alan Chico's backup dancer. Oh, that was a backup dancer for Your Cure. He was from that high school as well. So anyway, just a curious odd fact there. Also, as well, yeah, I see all these comments coming in negative, and they think based on all that my reviews about women ones in the past that I'd agree with them. However, I agree with you two on this one. I think this is a wonderful track. I love the start where it's sort of a melancholy, and then you go into the first person. It sort of brightens, becomes warm as she sees the healing and embraces it. So I think lyrically, thematically, it is it's a winner for me, because normally a lot of these types of ballads that we get at Eurovision national selections, they tend to wallow in the pain rather than do something about it and embrace it. And I also agree, it's much better than her last time she was here, and just a much more mature performance. And again, this is why I sort of think the peak age for a Eurovision artist is more 26 to 33, rather than, we're seeing all these countries now sending 18 to 21s, and they kind of flop, and they take the experience hard. So, but yeah, this one, I just love it.
I thought, just to pick up on what you just said there, actually, James, because I met her in Barcelona, and very nice, because I briefly talked to her before we started recording the interview, and I asked her, like, it's so good to see you. We're going to talk just briefly about your last song and, how you evolved. And it's like, I would love to hear from you. I'm like, what? No, just before we go live, like, do you think I have changed? I have matured? And I was like, yeah, I think everything vocally, it's just a joy to witness that. I said, because I meant it, actually. So it was interesting how you pointed that out. She's actually was very interested in like some feedback on that as well, because it's exactly how she feels as well, where she is as a singer. So that being said, let's jump into the points, and then we'll look at some of the comments. I think I went first, right? So let me give you my score, and that is I'm in standby mode, and really, to put this high up in my ranking, I still like it very much. For now, I'm giving it 7 points. 7 points to Lithuania. Connor.
Very nice. Well, I was going to jump in and say, for those who are worried, she is bringing those same vocalists with her to Liverpool. And in fact, all of those vocalists, I believe, are actually Londonites, who she knows from her vocal coach. I don't know. It's a very long story. We won't get into it. For the score and for this song, again, I really do enjoy it. It does give me the feels. I gave it a solid 8 out of 10.
Ooh. James.
Apologies for that. I thought I must have got my wires crossed with someone else's backing singer. So, yeah, sorry about that. As for score, I also gave this one an 8.
Oh, okay. I'm the Debbie Downer here. Who would have thought? So, the Chad and us, we have a little bit of a disagreement here, and we've had several disagreements between us and the rest of Team United. Is this going to happen again? There's only one way to find out. So, Team United gives Lithuania. Trying to find it. Hang on. Oh, that's Czechia. 10th place, 6.84. So actually lower. So the rest of the team has it a little lower than we do. James, penny for your thought.
It's about where I expected. Some of those kids kind of hired, also a little immature as well. So I expected them to kind of nuke it a bit. But yeah, I knew there'd be a few of us around who appreciate Monica classing up the place a bit.
Yeah. How about you, Connor?
I don't know why you are so focused on our new members. As if their taste is so different. No, I think that this is descriptive of the overall opinion relative. I think that there are people who really do enjoy it and people who are just fine about it. I've yet to hear someone who objectively would give it somewhere between a 0 to a 2. Which is good for a song. You either have a mild reaction to it, an okay reaction, or a positive reaction. So should she deliver, that score could pull up a little bit, but I'm not 100% surprised, because it's not the Swedens, Australias, and Serbias out there where people are just spamming on Twitter and Facebook and TikTok about this song.
But it does have Lithuania is known for almost always being in the televote top 10 because they have a very prominent diaspora. And that's why I bring up this question here. Oh, that was not the one I wanted to bring up, but let's say it anyway. Ruben React. I love Lithuania. They put the NS on YouTube every week. It's always a journey. They cut it a little bit in Lithuania. So, but yeah, this was the first year I actually watched it because it was always just a little much for me. But this one I wanted to bring up. The song will not even pass to the final. Lithuania's in the second semifinal. James, you first. Where do you think Lithuania's chances stand right now in terms of qualification?
I'm a little bit more optimistic than Rodrigo, mostly because this year there's a lot less ballads of this sort. If this was a few years ago, I'd say, oh, yeah, she might struggle because, there's not too many of these kinds of songs this year. There's a wacky diversity of acts here, and, the Chardonnay and cheese board set watching Eurovision might take to this one and come out in droves for it. We see that all the time with the Il Volos of this world, like just everyone over 35 just like get to the phone and vote. So I think there is room. There's a segment that's untouched genre-wise that she could take advantage of and might help get her enough televotes to the final.
Yeah. Connor, real quick, you think Lithuania will go through?
I think that it has a very strong chance because it's in semifinal 2. Semifinal 1, it would be a struggle. But they have enough variance, and I think the field is so very open in semifinal 2 that pending a complete disaster of a staging or maybe her getting sick the week of the live show, I'd say that she has a pretty strong chance. It depends on how everyone else delivers, though.
Yeah. If I was a Eurovision performer for the 2 weeks before you go for rehearsal, I would probably just quarantine myself just to prevent that from happening. I'm always like, it's scary. But I wouldn't call it a guaranteed qualifier, but I actually more confident saying that it's a likely qualifier to me. I just know running order, the vibe, the friendly votes they'll get. I just see that as a very likely qualifier to me, actually, Lithuania. But we shall see. So, want to talk about the last country on the list tonight? Song number 9. Exactly. Thank you, Connor, for the last time tonight. And that one is reserved for Norway. And what a strong national final Norway had. And despite all of this tough competition, it was Alessandra who ended up victorious, getting to fly the flag for Norway in Liverpool. She, Queen of the Kings. And the song will open the contest this year as the first song in semi-final 1. It's about the power of women, but also the power of all people, about how important it is to feel yourself. And Alessandra, just like so many artists this day and age, first tried her luck on a reality singing competition. I think it was The Voice in this case. And she didn't win there, but she made it all the way in Melodi Grand Prix. So let's talk this through. So, James, what are your thoughts on Norway?
All right. How to make me the most hated man in the Eurovision fandom, part 2.
Okay, go ahead.
So my initial reaction watching MGK for this was, so there's 2 things in my life I don't like, and that's one is Renaissance Fair, and then number 2 is pirate stuff. And recently there's been a trend where these pirate people have been taking over Ren Fair. So you have this double barrel nightmare and all those cliches. And I thought the chorus, it was like originally a lot, it lent in a little too much to that sort of and it kind of pissed me off from the outset. I thought it was just really annoying, but that's based on a sort of personal bias. And also, I'm going to give it a caveat here. If I was to rescore it, I think they improved it and smoothed it out with the revamp, and also with the staging and the video. I hope they kind of lean more into the sort of sci-fi element that they're going with, and they don't go and they're not tempted by saying, "Oh, go the more traditional Celtic sea shanty thing." But yeah, as for the positives, I really do like that beat that it's got going through it. When it drops, it's really good. But yeah, when it gets to the chorus, it's yeah, and that note she ends on is real great too. She's a great belter, and yeah, so that's my positives.
Well, we got some positives there at least. So, Connor, what you got for us?
Well, I love pirates and I love Ren Fair. So no, I'm just kidding. I mean, I do, but no, I think for this, this song is extremely Nordic. And Norway isn't always known for having strong lyrical composition. They are known for having a very strong, showy song or songs for their national final. And this one fits that bill. I think that there's a very particular reason why she is opening the show. They know that it's high energy. It's going to be impactful. We know that she can perform this song. She's been able to do it moderately well whilst even being sick at the pre-parties. So if you can practically pull out that high whistle note whilst having a cold, I mean, you're kind of set for Eurovision. And I think as well, she really was able to carry the live performance with an extremely minimal staging. So if they can actually pull out, kind of like what James was saying, pull out a staging that works and enhances and complements the performance instead of smothering it, I think that they're going to do really well. I don't know if this is going to be a contender to win, but I think that this is going to be a very strong showing, and I don't have a lot of concerns about Norway qualifying this year because it's been going viral on TikTok, because it's in everyone's top 10s, because everyone's talking about it, because it's so streamed. I have a feeling that this is going to do pretty well. Yeah.
Interesting. So I agree and disagree with you both at the same time. James, where I disagree with you is, I know what you said. I didn't even think about it. Now I cannot unhear it, the Viking part. I never really made that connection. Maybe that's why I love it. I was like, see, I know it pisses you off. Why it makes me happy. I think that's exactly, it has the exact opposite effect on me. So, but I didn't even realize until you pointed it out. And one of the few songs that I loved from the very first listen, and sometimes I grow words and all that stuff, or like then they grow off on you. Nothing happened here. I just knew that Queen of the Kings, the moment it was selected, would be in my top 10. And yeah, here we are. This is just Norway at the best. Connor, you already described it well, so I don't have to add anything to that. I love Alessandra's stage presence as well. I want to point that out as well. And energy she has. She has all the ingredients to blow us away in Liverpool. And I think it's the 5th in the betting odds right now. And that's why I disagree with you, Connor, because I can see a universe where Lorraine takes the jury vote, Finland takes the televote, and here comes Norway pulling a Duncan Lawrence like, this is my crown. And my precious. And I think that is a possibility.
I don't think Duncan Lawrence will appreciate the Gollum comparison.
Okay, but it's one of my favorite movies, so it's a compliment. It's maybe a backhanded compliment, but my precious. There are a few things I would have changed in the song. Maybe a little, the instrumental part or something like that, but nevertheless, fantastic effort from Norway. I love it to bits. So I would love to hear from the folks in the chat as well. But before we do so, let's give our scores and figure it out. First up, James.
Well, I'm not going to travel to Mordor to throw this into Lake Doom or anything like that. And also, I give the caveat that because you demanded our scores very early, I would change it now. But so I gave it a 5.5. Probably would have upgraded to a 6.5 or 7. That'd have been now. But for now, it's a 5.5 for me.
Okay. Connor.
Yeah, so for me, I'm still gonna rate it pretty highly. I've listened to this song multiple times. I have contributed a lot to the stream count. It is a good song. I still don't know that it's going to be in contention to win, but very high up. It's an 8 for me.
All right. Shut up, y'all. 9 points. I some flaws that I'd point out, but other than that, I just really I'm in love with this one. And yeah, nothing else to say. Now the question is, where does Team United fall overall before we look at everyone's scores? So, with no further ado, Norway's score is 7.60, fourth place. And I think it's BS that it's not in the top 3. This song deserves so much more. But I understand, some of the things that people pointed out. I think it's a great song, and I am happy it made it this far. But yeah, James, you must be relieved that Australia still bronze medal.
Exactly. Yes. Even though it's kind of an apples orange comparison, really, it's kind of not fair to compare the two. And I knew I was going to be the outlier on this one. I was under no illusions it was going to be anything other than something 7.5 up, because I knew I was in the minority.
Okay, so before we move on and look at the comments, here is the second half of the scoreboard. So Lithuania now 11, Cyprus, Armenia, Denmark, all the songs we reviewed today. So Connor, looking at the ranking that you've seen so far, Poland last, Romania second last, and Switzerland. Same question that I asked yesterday. Biggest surprise yet? Anything? Well, you're kind of like, yeah, this seems all legit.
For me in my personal ranks, this seems legit. So I guess I must be in the middle average of our team here. I guess I'm still a little shocked to see Lithuania pulling so far down personally. But I think the only thing that is shocking me is the fact that the only song that has averaged lower than that 4.93 that Romania got is Poland. And my interesting worry here is going to be, is anyone going to get lower than Poland in our rank? Is anyone going to break under basically a 3? And if not, that is very scary for Poland in a I don't know, like a public appeal kind of sense.
Gotcha. Let's see some comments here. First, the backhanded compliment, but I want to put it on anyway. Finally, good sense from Matt. Skipping the finally, but I like the second part. I know when people don't get. So this is another question that came up. Jury will love it, and I don't doubt televote will as well. I think maybe it's just in my imagination. Was it you, James, who said that this may be a good jury song? Or how do you feel about it? Like, is it jury or televote?
I'm sorry, which song is this again?
Norway.
Oh, Norway. To be honest, I don't see them being too far apart, because for your theory to hold, you can't have the jury being that far behind the televote.
Nope.
So, and there's already other populist televote ones out there that I can see racking up even more. And also there's another couple of jury ones out there I can see racking up even more. So for your thing to hold, I think, you'd be looking for like a 4th in the jury, 5th in the televote, something like that. And then the others to just like tank and cannibalize each other. So long story short, I think I don't think the jury and the televote will be too far apart on this one.
Yeah, I think that's one of the few songs, not few, but one of the songs, I should say, that I could see, similar to what we saw in the Melody Grand Prix results, could be, liked in both groups. So, and that's why I think it has the potential. Similar, I could put Spain in a similar vein, a potential overall winner, while one country pulls the televote, while the another one pulls the jury vote. I could see a universe wherein that could happen in those, especially Norway already has gotten a little bit of, to a much lesser extent than Snap, of course, but got a little bit of traction on TikTok already. So it has already been some exposure. So we shall see. We have a few minutes for some general questions. Make sure you leave them in the comments below. We still got, of course, next weekend, we got the remaining 18 songs, I think, that we still need to discuss. Connor, out of those that we haven't discussed yet, you were on both panels today and yesterday, without necessarily talking about like your favorites, but which one are you really curious about? Did you see the score, whether you like it or not? But something like, I have no idea where this is going to fall with our team. Is there one? Do you have one, James?
I do. I want to see how Belgium fares, because I want to know who I need to be removing from the team.
Oh, is that so?
Just kidding. But no, I really, I do have a strong attachment to the song. So I have a vested interest in its placement. So I'm interested to see what our peers think of the song, because no one has told me besides one person.
Well, I cannot share mine yet because then I would spoil it. So you just have to wait and find out. James, do you have one?
Well, I've technically got three. I agree. Belgium is a curiosity because I remember right after the national final, people were like, "What the hell is this dog?" Whatever. And then all of a sudden, people started turning around and loving it. And then you see swings and backlashes. So I'd be curious, where do people actually land with that one? Another one I'm curious about is Azerbaijan. Are they going to be, for different reasons than Poland, end up with a rating less than Poland? I hope not, but I guess we shall see. I'm curious how they work out. And then I had a third one I was curious about, but
yeah,
leave that for another day.
Again, if you have any questions in the chat, let us know. Also, thank you again, our beloved moderator, Rose. Don't forget to vote for, your own voting in the links below in the comments. Very important for all 9 entries. You can still go to yesterday's as well, the video. They're all in their own individual videos, and vote and give your score so that we have a true representative score from our readers, which will then be included in the final results. So certainly. So somebody said, I'm curious about Italy and France. Well, France we already have done. So you can go back to yesterday's video or pull up the individual video. And you saw the screen probably already had the scoreboard up, but now you have to go. I'm not going to bring it up again to see. But Italy is certainly coming up. Not based on your personal taste, Connor or James, right? Because I know the score, so I cannot really comment on it. Not even based on your taste. Where do you think Italy could fall in terms of scores? In the 6th, 5th, 7th, 8th? Where do you think, Connor, based on your hunch?
I mean, it's Italy, and Italy is traditionally highly favored, just across the board. They do have a very strong music scene. They usually have a strong artist and vocalist. So I feel like it could go one of two ways. It could be extremely highly regarded across the entire team and end up in that top 5 rank of like that 8 to 7.5 bubble. Or it could be enough people who have it super relatively high, your 8.5s, and a bunch of people who have it in the middle. And so it aggregates into that bubble of songs that are in that 7 to 6.5, 6 area. Because they all push down. So that's what I'm thinking. It's going to be one of those two camps. Italy is not going to be probably lower than, I would say, a 6 overall.
Okay.
I'd be very shocked to see it be further down than that.
Okay. And how about you, James? Where do you see Italy fall in terms of scores overall? Not based just on your own, but...
Well, amongst the Eurovision fandom, we infamously have a blind spot when it comes to Italy. So anyone hearing these comments, just take that with a bit of a pinch of salt. I would say, based on our own team and from what I've heard, we'll probably end up averaging somewhere in the 6s. Do I expect the public at large to agree with that? No, I think there's a lot more love for it out there than our team would. So if it gets anything in the 7 and up range, I'll be very surprised. And similarly, if it's 6 and below.
Gotcha. One question here. My question from higher up. Okay. How are television ratings for semis 1 and 2? It sounded like it. Oh, with Angel soundtrack in the back. How are television ratings for semi 1 and 2 historically? Does semi 2 get more or fewer viewers? Comment usually really good, but my guess is it's just all depends on the allocation, right? What countries are in what semi. If you have the more popular or active countries in one semi, I don't think there is like a specific number that makes one semi stand out more. Is there? Have you heard anything about that?
Not that I am very well aware of. I would say, of course, the ratings per country, and some broadcasters do choose to broadcast both of them on their main channel. Some will do their contest that they're competing on a main channel, one on a separate channel, a secondary channel, things like that. Some of them do multi-broadcasts across multiple things. But I would say that the general trend is that the viewership in each country will be higher in the semifinal that the country is participating in compared to the one that they are not. However, I don't know that there is data out there of general trend lines, whether a certain semifinal does better than another or compared to the final. But of course, your viewing figures are going to be skewed higher in the grand final because you're not splitting the viewership up. You're having all 37 countries all coming together and wanting to watch the final because they're all voting in it. So small grain of salt piece there, but yes, you would see a little bit of a skewing where people are going to go to the semifinal that their country is in to see what happens to their song, more so maybe than the other one.
Ruben is asking, who won 2020? That's the year the contest was canceled. I still cannot talk about it without getting all choked up. I'm almost certain, I could try to bring it up if I remembered something, but I'm almost certain it was Lithuania that won that year. The route. And I'm trying to remember the rest of the ranking. I would have to look up some of the scores that I have somewhere, but I don't have that. But I'm almost certain that Lithuania won that year, our ranking. So it was a little bit of a surprise there. What was the song?
On Fire.
It is getting high. Yeah, because my brain got stuck on the other one. It's Discotheque. But that was the one, yeah. So that I think. So not Russia. I don't know. Russia didn't win. Iceland was pretty high, as people asking. So, but I almost certain it was Lithuania that won. Just a little side note. And I'm intrigued to see semi ratings because they're on BBC One for the first time ever. So before that, they were on BBC Two. I don't even know. I don't know. Yeah, that's something very UK specific that any one of us, can speak to because we don't know exactly how that works. So that's what we have for tonight. We'll be back next Saturday for the next 9 songs. In the meantime, there will be plenty of other videos throughout the week. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so. Oh, before you leave, click that like button, please. I know our dear moderator pointed that out already, but we need the more the better because otherwise the algorithm's going to swallow us, and we don't want that. So any help is much appreciated. So have a good night, everyone, and I'll see you all on the other side.